Hello, and welcome to your menstrual phase, also known as inner winter. I'm very excited that you're here. I love talking about this phase. It's a very unique phase and a very misunderstood one. So I'm ready to dive in with you and look at the overarching themes, your strengths, your vulnerabilities, and how best you can harmonize with your mind, body, and spirit with inner winter to support hormone balance, health, and overall quality of life. So let's get into it. So, your menstrual phase starts on the first day of your bleed. When tracking your menstrual cycle, this is day one, and it lasts all the way until the last day you bleed. It can range from anywhere to 2 to 7 days. Now, let's get into the elements and the moon, our cyclical nature, right? So, the element here is earth. We are coming back to Mother Earth. We are connecting back to our womb, and our womb has such an earthy energy. And that's really what we're going to feel here. And the moon, this is the new moon. This cycle mirrors that of the new moon, where we embrace the darkness and the inwardness and just really go in towards ourselves. The archetype is the wise woman, the crone, the visionary. During this phase, you will be surprised sometimes when you first get into it of the clarity you have or the calmness you have. And we'll get into the hormone component and the energetic component later of why that is. But this gives you this really wonderful skill at this time to have really good clarity and intuition and almost be a little bit closer to spirit. So it's a very wonderful time to embrace that and take the day and that energy and really come home to yourself and see what comes up for you. So I want to take a moment to talk about inner winter and our society. In most cultures today, our bleed is seen as a curse, something that we should ignore, hide, or shame. You think that blood's disgusting or dirty, or at least you've been taught that. We are encouraged not to take time to be alone or with ourselves, not time to rest. If anything, we're just told take some medicine, put in a tampon, pretend you're not bleeding, and go about your day. If you do take the time to rest, it can be seen as lazy or selfish or unproductive. So, because the world doesn't support us, we take the pill, we push through, and we don't check in. We start a new cycle and old patterns, mindlessly just repeating the habits and ignoring our gifts. And it just goes into this cycle. And our bleed is a natural time to surrender and let go of all that you've been carrying from your cycle before and reconnect with yourself. You are physically shedding and also energetically shedding all that doesn't serve you. So it's a really beautiful time that we don't want to skip. But I just want to acknowledge that we aren't really supported a lot of the time. And I encourage you to really try to carve out time and really start to speak your truth in order so that you can honor and acknowledge this part of your cycle, because it is so important. But I do want to acknowledge that it can be difficult. So the truth about your blood. The belief that your menstrual bleed is dirty, gross, and inconvenient is not a coincidence in my mind. Our society wants you to believe that so that you don't really connect with this part of you. Like I said in the previous slide, you just check out and move on, right? When really there's so many gifts to this phase that can really bring power to you. So I guess my point is that this makes us stay fractured and disempowered and taught to hate a part of ourselves. And if we hate a part of ourselves, how can we fully connect and know ourselves and connect to those powers that your womb holds? So I want to nip that story in the butt and just let you know, if you didn't already know, that your bleed is an amazing gift. The fact that you don't have to have babies or no babies. If you are a female with reproductive organs still intact or once had, you literally have a portal within you leading from one world to another. I mean, how amazing is that? So let me be clear. Your period is not dirty. One purpose is to cleanse possible infections and foreign bacteria out of the womb and out of the vagina. So as you shed, that blood is antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal, and it helps cleanse you. Your period is also an indicator of your health. If you learn to read your blood, you can also learn and catch imbalances before they become chronic. If you start to feel like you might have some weird blood, or like the color, or it looks a little different, you're welcome to reach out to me and we can talk a little bit more about what that blood quality can look like. I'm happy to support you with that. And we want to create space, right? We want to shed what no longer is needed physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So physically, that uterine lining is beginning to shed. And when we shed this, yeah, it cleanses the body, but also energetically, you can use that energy, use that physical shedding to energetically shed things that don't serve you. And that's why it's so important to create space and take the time with that clarity that you'll have to look back and think, you know what, it's no longer serving me. What am I feeling? What am I holding on to that's not mine to hold? And take a moment and release that. So that's what I want to talk about in this phase, that this is the truth about your blood, and it has amazing benefits. We just need to know how to connect with it. So let's get into the hormones. So if the corpus luteum does not become an embryo, it will be reabsorbed back into the body, that was secreting progesterone, right? That corpus luteum is secreting all that really juicy progesterone that's super beneficial, but now it's not. And as those progesterone levels start to fall, this is what triggers your bleed. So if you have a healthy corpus luteum and made enough progesterone, then your uterine lining will be healthy and your period should arrive pretty smoothly and have no spotting or pain. I know it sounds like a myth. We'll get into the pain aspect later. So estrogen has peaked and then drops. And then now our body is starting to prepare for another cycle towards ovulation. The body vibes. There is often menstrual pain, including pelvic cramping, lower back pain, fatigue, cravings, and we will get into all of that in later slide. So menstrual pain. Pain is the way that our body communicates to us. You are not meant to be in a chronic state of pain. Pain is your body's way of saying, hey, something's up. Tension, physical tension, stress, holding patterns, this can all create inflammation and create excess pain during our period. And this is our body talking to us. So, when to take the pill versus leaning into the pain. Sometimes you do need to take a pain pill, right? Because life gets busy and maybe you don't have the capacity to hold the space and to listen in that moment. No one's forcing you. It's all going to be okay. Check in with yourself first. And if you check in, you're like, hey, you know what? It's just, I got too much going on and I don't have the time for that. That's okay. But check in. I invite you to ask yourself if you can sit with the pain and say, what do I need here? What is this asking me? What could be something that is not serving me, that could be, somewhat not responsible for the pain, but contributing to the pain. Again, the pill is great relief short term, but if we take it too often, then we lose that soft communication with our body and it can become a scream. So if you have the time and the space, practice sitting with the pain. Be still. Notice if being in its presence and acknowledging it lessens it. Maybe you might get a huge insight into what you need. What is it communicating? Every human needs downtime. Sometimes when you take the pain pill, you just keep rushing and don't honor the fact that your body's shedding and low energy and needs some rest. I understand, again, like I said, the world doesn't support it, so it's not always possible. But even 5-10 minutes a day, especially those first 3 days of your bleed, to allow yourself to rest and repair and honor your menstrual cycle rhythm will really, really benefit you in the long run. And you'll start to see the benefits. So cramps, what are they, right? So cramps are one of the biggest complaints that I hear. And even me, when I started this, I had really, really bad cramps. And, and it's a cycle, right? We are cyclical. So it's interesting for me because with this awareness, If I notice I've had more inflammatory foods or more stress, I see the changes in my cycle, and I immediately like, that was that. And I can adjust the next phase, It's not about perfection, but it's about that awareness and really supporting ourselves. But if you would have told me in the beginning of this that, I could have a pain-free period, I would have laughed in your face. So I get it. I get that it might, if you're someone who suffers from really bad cramps, this might sound like woo woo, but cramps, they are the reason why they happen, right? So just before your period starts, the cells in the uterine lining release a compound called, and all these words are hard for me, but prostaglandins. You see the word right there. Okay. So basically that is produced and it stimulates the uterine muscles to contract. And this is what creates the menstruation, the bleed. Your uterus contracts and it sheds the blood. Once your bleed begins, these guys are released into the bloodstream. If you have too many of them, then it can lead to painful symptoms. So it's really interesting because you can get they kind of spread in that area. So some people will get the low back pain or in other areas, and that's what these guys are kind of in that bloodstream, and they're creating those contractions a little bit and everywhere. If you've ever had like period poops, it gets into your rectum and it makes you have to go more. That's what's happening. So something to look at. The fascia, also during your bleed, the fascia in the uterine lining tightens, and this creates an internal pressure, and it can put pressure on the nerves and the blood vessels and can really create that cramping and back tightening. So I've included in this course in a different part module some womb work, some womb body work, and I go into how to do myofascial release on your abdomen to really help open up the fascia and create more space so it doesn't create this pressure. You can do it if you have cramps during your bleed, and or you can just do it throughout your cycle to promote it if you notice you have a lot of tightness in your abdomen. And you can go to that lesson to learn a lot more about that, but just want to put a little plug that if you do suffer from cramps, you really do want to work on that fascia with myofascial release techniques, also called skin rolling. So severe cramps is a sign of too much inflammation, too much stress, or hormone imbalance. So by doing the cycle alignment, working on these things, you can decrease your cramps, because when you align with your cycle and support it, you decrease stress, decrease inflammation, and you support your hormones. It takes some time, but I promise you, it can really, really benefit you if you stay committed. And I'm always here to support you along your journey. Please reach out if you do have severe cramps. Everyone's a little unique. Hormones are unique. So I can make some suggestions, on a case-to-case basis. If you want to reach out, feel free to. So let's talk about the menstrual phase strengths and vulnerabilities. So on the left here, we have our strengths, and on the right, we have our vulnerabilities. So when you first start your bleed, one of my favorite strengths is the inner peace and the calmness and the clarity, especially coming out of inner autumn. When inner autumn, the inner critic can get really loud, the wild one can get really loud sometimes, or just kind of just feeling everything feels really, really big. Once the bleed starts, it's like, okay, I'm clear, I have peace, and I can look at those things a little more clearly. So I think that's a beautiful strength that we have. And when I'm in inner autumn, I remind myself that if things start to feel a little too big. Also, we are super connected to our womb and to spirit, because spirit, it lives there, right? Like I said, it's a portal. And spirit lives there no matter what. Even if you've had a hysterectomy, that energy, that spirit lives within you. And you can connect with this space to ask for guidance, because this is where your inner knowing, this is where your intuition lives, and really sink into your body when you need guidance and trust yourself that you have the answers. As far as vulnerabilities, obviously physical symptoms, it can be pretty bad and it can be uncomfortable. My goal for you is to continue to do the womb alignment so that the womb body work that I provide to help decrease some of these symptoms. And again, if you want further assistance, I can help with that. And really to just start to, if you do have pain, check in if you have the capacity to hold space for it and rest and nurture yourself, or, if you don't, that's fine too, but try to make some time, at least in the day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, especially in those first 3 days, to rest and take care of yourself. Overactivity, if we just push through, you're going to be fatigued. If you push through and don't acknowledge this time, or just move a little bit slower at your body's pace, you can really get fatigued. So overactivity is a big one. And then just physical, emotional needs. Sometimes it's hard for us to receive care and ask for help. But during this phase, if you are lucky enough to have someone who can help, or just even just at work or friends or coworkers, like, don't be afraid to delegate, to ask for some help to ease some of your stressors. So align with the menstrual phase, right? These are the main things that you can do during your menstrual phase. So go inward, pause, rest, take that downtime. Set new intentions. You're shedding all of the old energetically and physically, and you have this beautiful clarity with your inner knowing and your soul, and you can check in and set new intentions for the new cycle to come, and look back on what maybe didn't work, what worked well, and set those intentions that are going to support you, and plant that seed into your womb, right? Plant that intention into your space where it will gestate and it will grow. And then let go. Especially as women, we hold on to so much in this space that is not ours. So even just one thing you can think of, let it go, shed it, imagine it leaving. I like to imagine just moving trash bags outside and tossing them in, and bleed on it, right? So when you are bleeding, it's a great time to write, read, self-care, meditate, all these beautiful things. Here's some movement. The first 2 days, you really want to rest, honestly. And like I said, the first 2 days, that clarity with spirit, with yourself, is its strongest. So I really just say rest those days, and for movement, go inward. Check into yourself, be in your body, go check in with your womb. And then after day 2, your hormones start to rise, day 2, 3. So day 3, they start to rise. Then you can start doing more gentle movement as the hormones rise and your energy rises. And here's the foods for that are supportive in this phase. So because your body's going through a lot and you have low energy, soups and stews are wonderful because they don't require a lot of energy of your body. And it's easy to digest, easy on the metabolism. If it's hot in summer, just think things that are easily digestible. You wouldn't want to do like raw salad right now. Grounding vegetables are wonderful. This helps us feel nourished. Complex carbs, that helps promote the production of serotonin and dopamine and keep our blood sugar stable, which helps with any like mood swings or pain we might be feeling. Here's some things you can do to ease cramps: magnesium, zinc, iron, and then hormone supportive fats as well. So here's some foods to ease cramps. So these are food, on the left is foods to add. These foods will help ease cramps. So berries, they are rich in fiber and antioxidants, which will help ease them. Cruciferous veggies like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, they support liver detoxification. Turmeric, this is anti-inflammatory, it's wonderful. And just a few other things like fresh dried crystallized ginger. This also has great antioxidants and just helps if you're not feeling too well, if the pain's really there, if you're getting a little nauseous, this can help with that as well. There's a list of hormone support fat here. All of these things will really help you during to help kind of ease those cramps. Foods to reduce: refined sugars, fried foods, caffeine, meat from grain-fed animals, alcohol, dairy, and refined oils. All of these things create inflammation in our body. And like I was saying, can increase that tension on those nerves, of blood flow, and just kind of bogs everything down. And it can also increase those prostaglandins that create that intensity of the cramping if there's too many. I've included some menstrual products that I really like. I really like to talk about really trying to decrease any type of endocrine disruptors or things that have toxins. So everything here are all kind of friendly and are clean products. And depending on what works for you, menstrual cup, tampons, pads, I like to kind of give an option because, I'm not going to say, oh, one's better than the other. I do think it's nice to let yourself like breathe. So during the day, for example, when I'm at work, I'll wear tampons, but as soon as I get home, I'll wear pads or period underwear just to really just let it flow a little more freely, because again, that blood is really trying to cleanse the vaginal canal as well. So here's some womb work. So I want you to find some small way to make day one of your bleed special for you. Just carve out some time and rest and do nothing, even if it just is 5 minutes. Whatever your day holds, find a way to move slowly and be at your body's pace. Here are some affirmations that are really helpful. You can write these down and use them, or you can make your own. Here are some journal prompts. Why is the pain here? Could it be that my body is telling me something? How can I show myself compassion right now? If you were to design your dream life, what would that look like? Get specific. How can I better support myself throughout the month? Are you living in alignment with your purpose? And if not, how can you shift closer to it? So here are the key takeaways. Claim space for yourself, especially day 1 and 2. Just a little bit of time to check in, maybe write on those journal prompts. Let go and rest. Really just let go of anything that's not serving you and honor your body. Nurture yourself. Nurture yourself by taking care of yourself during this time, moving at your slower pace, but also by asking for help, asking for assistance, really delegating and receiving that, and allowing yourself to fully give in to the phase, the energy of it, and receive the help. Here are some sources and inspiration if you'd like to dive deeper. And I want to say thank you so much. I know this is a little bit longer of a video, but really there's so much in this phase. I love all of the phases of the menstrual cycle, but I do feel like inner autumn and inner winter get a bad rap, and take a little bit more time for explaining, and also just to really highlight the beauty of it and the purpose of it. So I really hope that it resonated with you, and reach out to me if you have any questions or comments. And I look forward to talking to you more, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Thank you.